your story has been all over kind of mainstream news. It's been in sports news. It's been national. It's been international. It's been all over. And people talk so much about the injury and what you're doing now. And there's all this space in the middle when you had to struggle, I suspect, with getting to the place where you are now. So I want to spend some time in that middle section, because I think, well, very few people have your exact injury and struggle, more than most people know, but a small percentage of the population, everyone has to deal with broken dreams.
Yeah, absolutely.
In some kind of, fashion. So you were a teenage hockey player from Minnesota at a very well-known Benilde St. Margaret, well-known for hockey, and everything's going great. And what happened?
Yeah, it was my sophomore year. So I was on the varsity team, and we were, second in the state, making moves and progress towards continuing to work our way up and find chemistry and build as a team. And things were going well for myself and for our team. And unfortunately, over our Christmas tournament, I was getting ready to get going for our big game. And in the championship game, we were tied in the third period. I had the puck, ended up getting hit from behind illegally, and went headfirst into the boards, severing my C5 and C6 vertebrae, which ultimately left me paralyzed with a severed spinal cord. So, you talk about broken dreams and dealing with that. Obviously, we'll get to that, but that was the beginning of what is now kind of a new life and a new lifestyle. Unfortunately, but also in many ways, I've been very fortunate as well. So it was hard to overcome. It's obviously still hard to overcome, and something that I'm very, very, fortunate to have, post injury, with people that want to help and the awareness and everything along those lines. But it ended that hockey career, at least for quite a while. We'll see what happens moving forward. But living in the present day, there's a lot that I'm proud of since I've been injured.
And for people that aren't aware of how Minnesota hockey works, to be a sophomore playing varsity at Benilde St. Margaret at that time is a big deal. So I think a lot of kids say, oh yeah, and then I'm going to go play college hockey. Like, you really were on that path. It wasn't some kind of completely fantasized reality. So you really were a very, very good hockey player when this happened. And what's I've thought about in preparing for this, and I'm in Minneapolis right now. I remember when it happened. I've followed your story, and every time someone plays your story, anytime someone talks about it, there's always video of you playing hockey. Is that hard for you to see over and over again?
Surprisingly, not that part of it. It's a fond memory of being able to see the videos and the highlights, and there's plenty of footage of me playing on YouTube, and there's goal videos, etc. It's a refreshing thing because it's a nice memory that you can look back to. I think there's other things and that maybe I can point to that are harder to watch, but in many ways, I think what I've tried to do mentally is really focus on the positives of those experiences. I was able to play at the highest level in the United States for my age group and be successful. I scored a goal per game leading up to high school and was very well on my way to playing Division I hockey, like you mentioned. Who knows where I would have ended up or how long it would have taken to get there, but it was, beyond a, real possibility. And so that's where it hurts in many ways, because you don't get to find out where your career would have gone. By no means was I ever going to make the NHL, knowing my work ethic back then, but I was very talented. I had a future in hockey beyond high school and into the collegiate level. And, being able to see myself play and see some of those positive highlights bring back good memories. I think there's other things that are harder to watch that I do struggle with a little bit more, but have found ways to cope moving forward.
Is it the pictures of you right after the injury in the hospital? Is that what's hard to
That's
see?
definitely one of them, just because I look like a completely different human. I was about 155, 160 pounds as a 5'8" sophomore. So I was a little bit undersized height wide, but I was pretty built going into what then was the injury. After that, I lost probably about 25, 30 pounds, and I looked like a skeleton in my mind. It was hard to see just because it doesn't look like me at all. And it took a long time to build back to that physique. And even with paralysis, you can't get that back because of the inability to control and use all of your muscles because of the paralysis. So it's hard to kind of look back at some of those photos after the injury, knowing what you did have and where it went and what you can't gain back fully.
And I suspect if I ask most people who are aware of your story, are aware of your name, two things kind of cut. People will say hockey, injury, beating the medical expectations. That's sort of the narrative that's out there, is that you had this injury, everybody sort of knows it was in hockey, and then you're beating all these odds. What were you initially told about what you would be able to do, and where are you now?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Kristi. In the first few days after the injury and the initial surgeries to stabilize everything, and then to go in and fuse the C5 and C6 vertebrae, we talked to the doctors, and the original prognosis was I'd be lucky to get some motion back in my right arm. They didn't think there would be a lot of physical capabilities, and I would be lucky just to be able to bend my left arm. And within a week, I was already moving my right hand and my right arm around, not in major ways, but the movement was already starting to come back. And the left side slowly followed. And unfortunately, I don't have as much movement and strength and mobility in my left side, but both arms are completely capable of moving. I have the ability to drive my power wheelchair with my left arm and move around on that side. My right arm, I can use my phone, I can grab things, though my fingers don't work. But I have complete control of my arms in many ways, though it's not perfect. But I have, I've been able to activate muscles in my lower body and the major muscle groups. I can activate muscles in my core and my back. So I've definitely surpassed the original prognosis.